Hello guys, today we have a VOD review of someone who placed top 2k in the Cash Cup, in the Soda Cash Cup that is. I think it's going to be pretty good as it's relevant for a lot of people who aren't placing, say, top 100, and we're going to go over the mistakes that a lot of people are making, as it's kind of like like an average player. So we're going to be going through a couple of the games, looking at the mistakes that they made, as they're likely to be similar to the mistakes that you're making. Right, so we're going to start off by looking at the match history. First game, 12th place with 3 kills. Okay, first game. Not really the best. He finished on 107 points, came 1,700th. Throughout his match history, had no wins, KD of 1.7, so it shows that you don't need to have a lot of kills. Looking at the placements right now, he only had 2 top 10s. He had one which was 10th, one which was 14th as well, and then a 6th, and then a 4th. A lot of the other games were like 30th place, where you really get like hardly any points from. Especially when you're getting only like 15th place as well. That's not a lot of points. You really need to be pushing for like within the top 10 somewhere. So like top 5s is really what gets you the most points every game consistently. So I'm going to go over and look now at what he could have done better to get a higher place in those games. So firstly, going over his drop spot, he's landing at this IO base near mid. You land in quite a high position. It's a fairly 50-50 spot. I think he's getting like 2 or 3 people contesting it every game. Yeah, and it's not very central either. You do get a couple cars, so it's really good for rotates. I think it's good as well at these army bases that you can farm with your mats in the location as well. So if you get like a high elo game, then you can just spend more time in the area that you landed in, so you won't have to leave and risk rotating to other areas to get your mats up. Other than that, you get good loot from here. You've got the couple of henchman chests that you get. Pretty much guaranteed, like very strong shields coming out of here as long as you're uncon. The only issue is when you're conned, it can be a little bit more scuffed. Right, so gliding into the base now. He's conned by one person. There are other people actually landing nearby. But they're going down to the drop spots further around the back of the map. There's one guy also who lands in and pads away straight away, but we've got this guy who's contested by. So he runs in here, he's got Scar, very poor engage. He knows, before he's even run in here, he knows the guy's got a ramp, so he's not going to be able to get up. And he got no viewpoints in him. That was very poor engage. He's lucky to be alive from this. Especially when he had a shotgun as well, just running in there with a Scar with completely no awareness on the other player it's just not going to get him anywhere. That was a very 50-50 fight. He could have won that a lot easier right at the start there if you just engaged it right, instead of trying to just run in straight away, rushing the fight with a Scar. Even though he's got that massive, that high loot advantage because he's got the Scar and shotgun, it doesn't mean he has to rush the fight. You're not playing box fight there. I think it was bit of flat fighting from I see a lot of these players. They'll like to play the fights a lot more flat, whereas you should be exploring more options for different peaks and different angles than the other player as well. So he was just in a box fight here, like literally just straight on. You don't really get much with these fights when they're just completely straight on like this. You need to be up, like trying to get high ground, play height on them, play other angles up behind, sides. For his first zone rotation, he starts going, I'd say, a little bit late, but he does end up getting really strong mats coming out of there. So he's got purple tack, launch pad as well, so probably one of the best loadouts possible that you can get this season, apart from he's missing the big pots or extra sniper that he'd probably want to take. He rotates these shield mushrooms here. That was one of the issues I was talking about, being a bit late on rotating. He came across another player, could have potentially forced a storm fight on him. One thing that you got to remember is that you can always farm some of your mats later. So the most important part at your spawn is farming metal up, as that's the one that you might not be able to farm later. Whereas brick and wood, you'll definitely be able to farm up later. Basically, prioritizing what mats you farm so you can rotate earlier. So with this first zone rotation out, I think that's very good. How he got himself all the way from this army base, followed through around the back of all the other POIs, and then he ended himself in a position here. So then he has this whole left side that he's now able to rotate through and just keep himself on dead side. This is very good. So one of the issues we're seeing here is when he's rotating through a fairly open plane, he's not looking around enough. He's not looking at people who could potentially beam in, people that could be sneaking up on him from behind. But we're just seeing when he's running a straight line, he's only looking ahead. He's not really looking to the side much. He looks a bit to the left here, but he's not looking behind, to the right. He just needs to be checking these angles, because you're getting no information just by looking in a straight line. Okay, this is one of the things we're seeing again. So he's just gone to engage in a fight. He kind of half sends it. I think this is pretty useless. Really, 2 people start a fight. He looks for the third party, but as he goes over, the fight gets finished. He didn't really apply much pressure here. He could have been applying much pressure. He applies a little bit there, not really too much with this AR. But you'll see, as soon as the other guy dies, he just starts running away. You're going to definitely look to pressure the guy off their loot, get more loot, maybe some big pots, as that's definitely what he needs right now. But one massive mistake he makes, you see him running away. He looks completely in a straight line the whole way. Doesn't check his back, because that guy could just turn around and just beam him, and because he was looking the completely wrong direction. Small issue that was just mentioned is that he did rotate. He rotated himself through this area, which is pretty good. He used the whole left side of the map, as it's going to be that side. He positioned himself fairly central, but the issue with this is that he's sandwiching himself. So you see, we got this. We've got these people here. Got people here. People here. Right, essentially he's in the middle of all of them. So when he's rotating, say if he has to rotate over this way, all these people are going to have angles on him, and they're going to all be looking at him. Whereas if he's on one of the edges of zone, so like this, it'd be much easier to rotate. Well, this isn't too much of an issue. It'd be much better if he's stuck on one of these edges of zone earlier, because he had the option to base it earlier, but he just went past it. It seemed like he didn't really have a clear plan of where he should be boxing up for his third zones. Just going back to what I said, he ran past his position to box. It's a very strong position, quite high up as well. If he was boxing here and people were rotating past, as the players in first game aren't going to be so good, he could look for beams on them, and they could potentially force a fight on dead side as well. So even though it's third zone, he's got all this covering here from the hill. So if he wants to force a fight here, then he definitely can do it. Just lowers the risk of third party and not getting sprayed from other people. Okay, so he does end up getting fourth zone. He's looking at other people rotating, trying to pressure them away, which is good. I say he's not actively checking his angles enough. He's kind of looking in the same direction. It also seems like he's scared to peek and tag people, whereas these people here should be tagging and griefing, because whoever you tag, you got to remember you'll be griefing them for their heals, so it'll make it harder for them to do well in the game. Like that. That is perfect. That's what you should be doing all the time. He should have, yeah. This is really good engage. First game, really good, confident W key. So he knew he got that B on him, quickly went ahead. He stuttered a little bit, but that was the only issue in that fight. He engaged up really well, with purple attack pressure as well, because he's in wood. So 50-50 rotate now. Uses the south side. He doesn't go first, but he doesn't go last. An issue, again, doesn't check his angles. With this rotate, as he's not the last one to rotate, as he's like rotated fairly early, he's definitely not going to be the last one, so people are going to come behind him, and he's just not checking that again. Okay, looks to try getting the box there. That was pretty good. That would have been good if he got that. I like how he's constantly exploring his options for refreshes. He doesn't really need it, but it's just the kill points. It's game one. So, okay, so he could have easily got height here. He does box himself high up, but he's not building a height base. He could have definitely held height here. He's got one pad, so he can definitely pad first moving. Yeah, so you see, no one's even going for heights. This would be the easiest option to go for height here. It's safe on mats as well. He ends up getting this guy landing on him. Yeah, there's really no reason to not make a height base here. Okay, so he does get first moving on him. He's looking to low pad it. He does get a kill out of the air. That's very good. He ends up low padding. Height at the moment was getting grief, so he could have definitely high padded. He didn't really look up enough as well. I think the low pad kind of lost him time. He could have definitely, if he high padded, he would have been able to see what height was doing as well. So then he would be able to go front side and reclaim height, because he'd know that it was getting griefed on backside. Looks up on low ground. He boxed up on a high mid ground layer. Good. Definitely not high enough though. He should have gone up straight away 3 layers when he 2 layers when he landed. Make sure he's above everyone else. If we look at his positioning as well in the zone, so you see he is completely central. First moving, this is probably one of the worst places to be, as you have to cover all your angles and waste more mats and potentially get W keyed and grief fire, because there's two sides that people can be looking at you at. So yeah, he's completely central, which is much worse than being on one of the edges of zone for first moving. Okay, he definitely popped a medkit. He had time, he was just kind of playing FK, which at least did him nothing. So popping a medkit was just giving an extra 10-20 HP to play with. Either that, or he could look for a medkit play here. I feel like he kind of rushed out there. Yeah, he kind of rushed out without even looking around. There's a guy right in his face and he didn't even see that. Not bad, but definitely a couple major mistakes in endgame there that he could have improved. Going for high and being central in that first moving is not where you want to be. Let's have a look at the 36th place with 90 minutes alive, 0 kills. It's pretty much a waste of 20 minutes. You just get like 3 or 4 points. Okay, we're going to take a quick look at his off spawn again. He can just wait for the other player to even make a mistake, or the other player actually flies away. Definitely a major mistake there on the audio cue that he missed out on. The other guy padded away and he just completely missed it. I don't know how. After he rotated out of his spawn, he did end up coming out with no spare shields. He rotated into the area around Catty. Firstly, ended up looting bridge and this area here before rotating down to here. Then he built up, farming out these trees, capping out his wood. He waited till storm came, so this basically allowed him to loot Catty second-handed. As the other guy, as you can see here, he's just rotated out as zones started coming. So he ends up looting these back buildings here. He gets the extra minis out of here, and he ends up getting 2 bigs from these buildings here. He did drop his medkit for a sniper. I would not say that is what he should do. I say he should keep medkits here. As you can see by his gameplay, he's not looking to take any mid-game fights. So that's the main advantage, as there's only 1 kill point. Having medkits in game can lead you to get extra placement points, potentially even a win with a medkit, like tank play or whatever. Medkits are just so useful in this meta now. Everyone's playing medkits in final movings. It is definitely the meta to be carrying medkits over snipers, especially in these less stacked games when you need less, we don't need surge at all. Making sure your loadout is fully optimized for the game that you're in is really important. So, for first zone rotate, I always like how he goes in, he never comes out in this central part. He always come out on one of the dead side edges. So for this zone, it's obviously going to be right side. It's the best side to be on for this whole game. So when he comes out of storm here, he gets himself already set up, prepared to go onto this right side of zone, which is going to be obviously dead side. This is very, very good, and it sets him up for his third zone, which is where he got dead side in the last game we saw as well. So yeah, we're gonna watch something that I do not like that he did here. So he rotates into this position to get this chest quickly. This should be a very quick thing that he does. It should be a quick thing. He gets the chest and then goes. They said he waits way too long at that chest. Because of the time he rotated, he was the first one. But then there's going to be a couple other people that were following behind him that had to rotate past him. So he could have forced a fight on himself, which is not going to be the play to fight here, obviously. He did not need to or want to take any mid-game fights. Just a little thing as well. He sprays his car as it's going past. Definitely not say this is the play. If this guy gets out of the car now, he's just lost all automatic high ground. This guy's like 2 layers up on Jerome, so Jerome will have to go up 2 layers to claim back height. But pretty much, if this guy gets out the car now, Jerome sprayed him, he's going to have automatic height on the fight. So it'd not be good to try and even engage or spray in that fight. I think you're just hanging around here too long. He just get the chest, get out, because he's on the right edge of dead side. He needs to be working himself up towards steamy area. Basically here he has two opportunities of what he should do. He can either box here, he can box like somewhere here, or like over here, which would give him a really strong position to hold people and get tags, or he can rotate all the way up to steamy and hopefully pre-fire the next zone. And if he doesn't get it, it'll be easy rotation no matter what, because all this north side is dead. Everyone's basically been tunneled into this bottom left side of the map right now. So yeah, he does end up going towards steamy. To try get himself ahead of the next zone, potentially in a strong position, which will definitely help him get height. Okay, I don't like how he's decided to just run around on top for a bit. I don't really know why he's done this. It's not bad. I guess he's trying to save his mats, but I definitely say build a small 1x1 out of metal or brick, as you've got the whole inside bit to refarm in case you don't get zone. I guess he was just waiting for a bit as storm was quite close, so it's not too bad. Okay, massive mistake. Puts himself into centre third. I would say this is pretty lucky he got away with this. He just glided into the complete centre of around 8 people, or maybe like 15 people who have complete viewpoints on him. This could lead to him getting service radius. He's just boxed up. If you're trying to go centre zone, you should definitely get on top of someone, get high up, get a much higher position. Somewhere over here on more brick, where it's a little bit more secluded because you've got the spy cover. But where his box is like very, very open, so a lot of people have viewpoints, and you can just end up getting service spread when you box in the open like this. I also don't like it because I say this a lot, and the majority of the time it's a lot easier to rotate into a contested area than rotating out of a contested area. So say, for an example, it'd be easier if you were boxed over here and you had to rotate in, because there's a lot of builds that you can use in natural cover and different rotation paths that you can use. Whereas if you're boxed in the centre here and you have to rotate out like over all the way through this contested side, you don't have much options now of going around the side. Because it's just not possible. You're going to take so much more damage, waste so much more mats going around the side. You're going to be forced to go central, and it's going to force you into the more contested side of the next zone. Whereas if you're on the outer zones, or more less contested sides, you'll have more options to rotate around and get easier rotation paths. I believe this was one of the main mistakes that was the reason he died just before the end game. As you can see here, he ended up getting the edge of 4th zone. It's not too bad, but as everyone's going to come into his whole area now. So you see now, he's on literally the most contested side of the whole map. It wouldn't be too bad if he was boxed up very high, because then he had a lot of opportunities to pad to next zone. Because he's boxed in the lowest layer though, it makes this extremely bad. He's going to end up getting sandwiched, you're going to make it harder to pad. He doesn't even have his own pad as well. All he's got is a car, which he won't be able to use for 50-50 zone unless he uses it really smartly. So the only option he has is to recycle a pad, which he can't really do, as it's going to be much harder as he's on complete low ground. Okay, so he ends up getting 50-50 zone fairly close. It was almost on him, he just has to rotate a few boxes in. Okay, so here's one of the main issues of this game. He rotates himself doing a stair top all the way in, instead of going up a couple of layers here, which would have been definitely an opportunity to get up here and over these builds, because then you're above the majority of the lobby if you go up on these builds here. So it gives you more opportunities to refresh your pad, and you'd also be able to get more central, which again gives you more viewpoints and recycling pad for first mover. We can't really tell how he died because we love the replay lag. I think he started eating his brick wall. I don't really know why he started eating his brick wall though. Maybe that's just Fortnite replay mode. Can't really tell what happened. I'm assuming he was looking the wrong direction looking back, and he didn't have the audio awareness when he got his brick wall sprayed out by probably this guy or something. Yeah, either that or he'd opened, yeah, okay, what it seems like is he's opened a big edit here, and then this guy's just took the opportunity to run and pump him in his face, which could have been avoided by basically, which could have been avoided by either not doing that big peaks, having more awareness of where other people were. Also, if he'd gone up a couple of layers, he'd been above everyone else, which would have made him much better position. He ended up wasting more mats by staying on the same layer, whereas if he went up here, and got himself in this build, as I said earlier, he would have saved more mats and put himself in a much better position. So he just gets probably there's not really like much you can do. No. Just because he made that big mistake of getting pumped. He could have gone back in his build more and made more room. That is the end of the video. Thank you for watching it. That is the end. I hope you enjoy this type of coaching content. I'm hopefully going to be putting out more in the future. Although this coaching content is the same as what is being put out on my masterclass. So if you are interested in that, I have loads of videos on there right now, and I'm updating it every week. Make sure to check the top link in the description, links to my coaching Twitter account, and check the pinned tweet, this tweet, which has all the info on it. And if you just want to purchase straight away, then just message me the word masterclass, and then all the info will be sent through to you straight away on how to purchase. I hope you enjoy this type of content. Make sure to subscribe. I'm going to be putting out more of this in the future. And yeah, love you boys.